भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम भगवते वासुदेवाय। Hare Krishna, dear devotees. So we are in chapter 10. Last time we have seen in the beginning of chapter 10 where Shaunak Rishi, he asked the question, and his concern was when he heard that after Bhismadev's departure, Yudhishthira Maharaj, he returned back to Hastinapur, and upon the approval of Lord Krishna and his uncle Dhritarashtra, he became the king of Hastinapur. So now the question is, when he had lost his family members, how he could enjoy the kingdom, the kingly opulence. Normally we have seen people, they like to share their opulence with the near and dear one, and they feel happy. But when Yudhishthira Maharaj had lost all his relatives, family members in the battle, so how he could enjoy the kingdom? So, and what is the inclination behind him taking the rule as a ruler? So then the answer was given that Yudhishthira Maharaj did not become the ruler of Hastinapur just to show his opulence to his near and dear one. Rather, he was a sincere devotee of Lord Krishna. Just to fulfill Krishna's desire, he accepted the service. And how did he do that? Bhismukto athachutoktam nisamya. By hearing the instruction from Bhismadev and getting approval from Achyuta Krishna, Prabhutta Vijnana Vidhuta Vibhrama. Actually, upon hearing the instruction from Bhismadev, Maharaj Yudhishthira, he actually understood that those who follow the path of Pravritti Marga in this world, the essence of Pravritti Marga is that Krishna is Parameswaradhinam Jagat. This world is under the control of the personality of Godhead. Therefore, those who follow the Pravritti Marga, they do everything for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord. And Yudhishthira Maharaj, he understood this very clearly. Therefore, his confusion about I have killed the family members and how can I become the ruler of the world? Well, everything is happening under Krishna's order. He's under his command. He's the authority. So you don't have to worry about it. Therefore, he became satisfied and he started to rule the kingdom. And we have then discussed about how during the reign of Maharaj Yudhishthira, this earth was filled with ample of natural resources, the trees, and trees, they produce different kind of fruits and flowers, all the seasons. They also produced their taxes for the king. So in that way, and the cows were carrying fatty milk bag, The pasturing ground was moistened by the milk that came out from the udder of the cow. So in that way, everything was very auspicious. And in that situation, Lord Krishna, he stayed uh, for few moments in Hastinapur. So in chapter 8 of this canto, text number 7, the same thing is going to now start from 7th verse of chapter 10. If you look at the incidents that was described in chapter 8, verse number 7, maybe you can just take a close look at the verse number 7 and 8 in chapter 8. You can very easily link, because Bhagavatam is not a chronological scripture. Sometimes something is being discussed, then in between the question is being asked, then there is an interruption to the flow. And then after a few chapters, now the continuation is going to be revived. So you can see in chapter 8, text number 7, Amantya Pandaputrangscha Shaine Uddhava Sangyuta Dvaipayanadevi Vipray Pujitai Pratipujitai. Then Gantum Krutamatim Brahman Dwarakam Rathamastita Upaleve Vidhavanti Uttaram Bhagavivaram. So these two verses describes the situation when Lord Krishna was about to leave for Dwaraka. Are you there with me, my dear devotees? My duty is to just show you where actually we are coming from.
Yes, bro.
This was the actual situation. Gantum Krutamatim Dwarakam. He was about to leave for Dwaraka and chariot was ready. He was already seated with Satyaki and Uddhava. And now he was just ready to depart. And all on a sudden, the situation got diverted to a different tangent. Uttara is coming, Bhayavihalam, crying for Pai, Pai Mahajagin, Deva, Deva, Jagat. And then, started the whole incident until Bhishma Nirjan, passing of Bhishma there. Now, coming back to the point. In text number 7, let me share the slide. I hope you are with me.
Yes, Prabhu.
Good. Thank you. This is the beauty of studying Srimad Bhagavatam. Text number 7. Uttitva hastinapre masan katipayan hari suridam cha vishokaya swasushcha priyakamya. So Hari, Lord Krishna, he actually stayed in Hastinapur. How long? Katipayan Masan. For a few months, he stayed in Hastinapur. Why? Suridam cha Vishokaya. Actually, there was a great loss. Therefore, all the relatives, they were very much grief-stricken. So Krishna wanted to pacify the relatives, and particularly Sasushcha Priyakamya. He actually wanted to console his sister Subhadra, because Subhadra had lost her son also. So in that way, you can see Krishna is acting like a normal human being because he is performing human pastime. Therefore, it is his duty to act like a human being. And in this connection, Srila Swami says, Idanim Dwaraka Gamanam Nilpaitum Ah. Now, it is going to describe about the departure of Lord Krishna for Dwaraka. Therefore, what is that? Amantya Chatma Amantya Chatmanugyata Parishvajyabhivadyatam Aruroho Ratham Kaischid Parishvatto Vivadita. Amantya. Janaki. Actually, Krishna uh, bidding farewell. Actually, this is a farewell ceremony going on, where the appreciation between different members is being described here. Yudhishthira Maharaj uh, was actually elderly to Krishna. He was the elder brother. And Krishna would always respect him. Sometimes he would he would like to offer his obeisances to even Yudhishthira also. But Yudhishthira Maharaj would not accept the obeisances from Krishna. He would embrace him. That was the kind of, behavior between Krishna and Yudhishthira. And the youngers, Arjuna, of course, he is like, friend, his behavior was different. But the Nakula, Sahadev, they are very junior. They came and offered their obeisances. So in that way, bidding farewell, Krishna, now he is ready to leave. Afterwards, when the Lord asked permission to depart and the king gave it, king means Yudhishthira, and Lord offered him respects. Lord offered his respects to Maharaj Yudhishthira by bowing down at his feet, and the king embraced him. After this, the Lord, being embraced by others and receiving their obeisances, got into the chariot. Receiving obeisances means those who are juniors, like Nakul and Saleh. Prabhupada, he writes a very nice thing. The Lord takes pleasure when some of his devotees accept him as less important in terms of love. No one is better than or equal to the Lord. He takes pleasure in being treated as younger than his devotees. Uh, So, in that way, then the other family members who are there, Subhadra, Draupadi, Kunti, Virata, Tanaya, Tatha, Gandhari, Dhritarashtrascha, Jujutsu, Gautama, Yamau, Vrikodarascha, Dhaumyascha, Striya, Matsya, Sutadaya, Na Shehire, Vimuhyanto, Virahan, Sarngadhanvana. Sarngadhanvana is Krishna. Since Krishna was staying in Hastinapur for many months, so all these members, they were always in constant association with Krishna. So it was very difficult, it was very painful for them to bear the separation from Krishna. I think, na se hire vimuhyanto viraham. Viraham na se hire. It was impossible for them to bear the separation from Krishna. Why? Prabhupada is saying, Lord Sri Krishna is so attractive for the living beings, especially for the devotees, that it is impossible for them to tolerate separation. The conditioned soul, under the spell of illusory energy, forgets the Lord. Otherwise, he cannot. So, the devotees, they never forget Krishna. So, in that way, now the glories of the Supreme Lord is being described in the next text number 11. If you see 11, 12 together, Satsangan Mukta Dusango Hatun Natswaheto Buddha Krityamanam Yasho Yasya Sakritakarnirvachanam Tasmin Nastadhya Partha Shahiran Birahan Katham Darsana Sparsha Sanglapa Sayanasana Bhojanai. Very nicely explained the behavior of Krishna with the members in Dwarka, sorry, in Mathura, in Hastinapur. So it is said that these devotees, they were always in close association with Krishna. How is their close association described here? Darsana Sparsa Sanglapa Sayanasana Bhojana. Sometimes and they will sit on the same seat, they will have prasadam together, they will sit and talk, and they will touch, Uh, they will see each other very closely. So in that way, this is how they are very much closely associating with Krishna. And as a result of which, what happened? Satsangan Mukta Dusanga Atma Sahita. It is said that by the association of pure devotees, one is free from bad materialistic association. When one is free from the materialistic associations, then what happens? This person will never be able to give up the hearing about the pastimes of the personality of Godhead. This is the point that in while commenting on this verse, Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he is making a very beautiful comment. He said, Satsangam Vina Dursangam Mada Matsaradi Hetu Na Apayadi. Actually, in Dursanga, in the materialistic association, one becomes maddened and he becomes envious. So, in as long as we remain in close association with materialistic people, our madness about this material world and enmity or envy will continue to increase. As long as we are mad and mad about the material energy, material association, and envious of others, we will not be able to uh, release the pastime or the glories of the Supreme Lord. This is the point. This is Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur is saying, Siddhanto Dhanita. This is the Siddhanta. Uh, so that means here, Kaimutya Nyayana Darshayati. What is that Kaimutya Nyaya? You can imagine these people, I mean to say the devotees in Hastinapur, they were in close association with Krishna for many months. Now, Krishna is leaving them. Uh, how can they tolerate this separation? Or, in other words, Kirtimanam Jasojasya Sakridha Karnirochanam. Just by hearing once about Krishna, somebody is never been able to give up the hearing because Satsangan Mukta Dusanga. They have been purified by the association of saintly personalities. So now these people, Tasmin Nastadhya Partha, all these Pandavas who have already given their body and mind, everything unto Krishna, Saharan Viraham Katham. How can they bear the separation from Krishna? So, in that way, it has been described that we have to gain the relief from the bad habits by satsanga and Prasanga Mukta Gosanga. And the Gosanga will go away. Prabhupada writes in the purport, the beginning of the paragraph, the living being's constitutional position is one of serving a superior. He is obliged to serve by force the dictates of illusory material energy in different phases of sense gratification. And in serving the senses, he is never tired. Even though he may be tired, the illusory energy perpetually forces him to do so without being satisfied. There is no end to such sense gratificatory business, and the conditioned soul becomes entangled in such servitude without hope of release. The release is only affected by association with pure devotees. By such association, one is gradually promoted to his transcendental consciousness. We have heard from Bhagavad Gita, Tadviddhi Pranipatena Pariprashnena Shevaya Upadeksanti Te Jnanam Jnanina Tattva. Those who are Tattvadarshis, they instruct about the science of the self-realization. Just Gyatvana Punarana. Upon hearing the instructions from a pure soul, then our mm, madness is gone. You become perfectly cured of the sickness. At that time, you will be able to release the pastimes of the Supreme Lord. And therefore, the association of a pure soul Mahatma is very, very important. Satsanga Mukta Bhushan. Then, Kirtamanam Jasolasya Sakida Kanyaroja. When he hears the glories of the Supreme Lord in that purified consciousness, he'll never be able to give up the releasement. So, in that way, then he continues. Sarve te nimishay rakshay stamanudduta chetasah vikhyanta sneha sambandha vichelos tatra tatraha. So now Krishna is ready to depart. So everybody is rushing to this spot. Why? Uh, Sarve te animishai akshay tamanudduta chetasah. Their heart and mind was completely absorbed in Krishna, and they were looking at Krishna without blinking their eyes. Vikhyanta, Sneha Sambandha. They were very affectionately attached to Krishna, and now they are Vichelus Tatra Tatraha. They started running here and there because now Krishna is leaving. Somebody is bringing flower garland, somebody is making the arati plate ready, something. Now he's leaving now. Some gift has to be given to him. So everybody is busy now. So this is the situation. Hmm? And at that time, what happened? Nirundhan Udgalas Baspam Utkantha Devaki Sute Niryad Agad Niryad Jagadana Abhadram Itishyat Bandhu Bandhavastriya. The female relatives whose eyes are flooded with tears out of anxiety for Krishna came out of the palace. They could stop their tears only with great difficulty. They feared that tears would cause misfortune at the time of departure. This is a lesson for us. When you are bidding farewell to your near and dear one, sometimes maybe your children, like your son, maybe daughter, they're studying in another country, they're leaving your house, and you, as a mother and father, you come out to say goodbye to your son. Now he's leaving your association for next few months. You'll not be able to see him, and you start crying, right? Don't cry. The saying it's not very auspicious. Huh? Mm. So the queens, the ladies in Hastinapur, they are very concerned about Krishna's welfare. So they knew that if they cry when Krishna is departing, it would cause misfortune. So therefore, with great difficulty, they actually hold their tears. They didn't allow the tears to roll down from their eyes. Mm. So Prabhupada is saying, uh, our intimate relation with Krishna can be confidentially revived by our taking of hearing, talking of hearing of, or remembering him. It is so done due to spiritual potency. Then when Krishna is departing, they brought different type of instruments, sounded them as to show Krishna that they are honoring him while Krishna is departing. And at the time, the ladies, they climbed the roof of the uh, prasada, the buildings, and what did they do? Babrishu Kusumai Krishnam, Prema Bida Smitakshana. This Prema Bida Smitakshana is very, very significant in this connection. We want to So you a slide to explain this section. Prema Brida Smidekshana. Where is the slide? What happened? Hmm. So here, Prema Brida Smidekshana. They climbed on top of the palace and glancing out of affection and love with sigh, smiles. That is Prema Vida protection. Prabhupada is giving a very wonderful explanation about this. Can somebody read from the slide?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes. Rangamai Ramakrishna.
Yeah, glancing out of affection and love with shy smiles. Shyness is a particular extra natural beauty of the fair sex, and it commands respect from the opposite sex. The custom of separating females from males was observed even during the days of the Mahabharata, that is, more than 5,000 years ago. It is only the less intelligent persons, not well versed in the history of the world, who say that observance of separation of female from male is an introduction of the Mohammedan period in India. Hare Krishna.
Continue.
A sweeper woman commanded the respect of many respectable gentlemen simply by manifesting a lady's shyness. Half naked ladies in the street do not command any respect, but a shy sweeper's wife commands respect from all. Vedic civilization allows very restricted mixing of woman and man. They say that the woman is considered to be the fire and man is considered to be the butter. The butter must melt in association with fire, and therefore they may be brought together only when it is necessary. And shyness is a check to the unrestricted mixing. It is nature's gift and it must be utilized.
Any comment?
1.10.50 per
Devotees?
put.
Prema Brida Sintakshana. Prabhupada is giving a very instructive purport. Uh, how can you see the application of this statement that Prabhupada is making in this purport in the modern context? Any comment on this?
Prabhu, can I comment?
Yes,
rephrase question?
Umesh Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu, I think one thing which Prabhupada is trying to clearly convey is that the women have to be, I mean, they have to have a certain etiquette, or as shyness here sort of means that they should not be mixing freely, or they should not be, they shouldn't be, if I can use the word, exposing. So I think that's what Prabhupada is clearly they should be very chaste, not to their family or to their husband, but overall they should be making sure that they don't instigate, right? Because as soon as they remove their veil of shyness, it's not just about exploiting, they're just trying to instigate or stimulate. So, and that mixing will happen. So that's what probably they have to be very conservative, if I can use that word, and simple.
Madhaman Prabhu.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Prabhuji. A lot can be said about these, particularly, like non-existent equality between, like the gender. Um, so the women are, like Prabhupada is saying, the women are respected more because of their shyness. You say it is something they have and it should be used. And when it is used, they're protected. So people think that in the name of, like why we should be deprived of the pleasure that the men are experiencing, but the women are actually becoming unprotected. And this is also due to the exploitative nature of the men. Hare Krishna.
Narahari Dev Baba bolo.
Prabhu, this is a very good point. In the Western world, it is sometimes not practical. And when Srila Prabhupada came here, he noticed that the culture is different and the boys and girls freely mix with each other. So Srila Prabhupada, he adopted the local culture and at the same time asked them to engage in service together. So it's kind of, how do I put it? In the Western world, I don't know if it would be even possible today with the degradation that is happening. But somehow, as preachers of Krishna consciousness, we have to try to introduce these finer sentiments in society for, I'd say, bringing up these values and that can actually help society. It's just a comment and thought, but this is really, a wonderful cultural aspect of Krishna consciousness, I'd say.
Yeah, this is the cultural aspect of Krishna consciousness. In fact, just one comment before I go back to hear from Shanti and Gopi Ganagita Mataji. Actually, this cultural aspect of Krishna conscious philosophy is generally misunderstood by the modern crowd. They feel we are trying to become more conservative, thereby limiting the independence and limiting the respect and beauty of the women class. No, in fact, if you see Prabhupada very clearly explaining that uh, shyness enhances the beauty and the respect of the fair sex. Not that they feel shy and they try to cover their body. It means their independence is annihilated. Unfortunately, it is being forecasted or it is being explained, it is being depicted in the human society, it is being educated in the human society in that way by, as some of you commented, that because the men are trying to take advantage of the situation. Because if you see, if you read the expansion Prabhupada is giving, he is speaking about this bodily beauty. It's like this is temporary thing. The combination of this matter, right? This body, you have studied in Bhakti Shastri section. This body is nothing but a combination of 24 elements, right? And as long as soul enters into the body, remains in the body in form of consciousness, then you can see the beauty. This is not the beauty of the body, rather beauty of the soul you are trying to see through this material body. But this experience, this transformation of this knowledge is not happening in the society today. And people are thinking we Krishna conscious people are becoming more conservative and we are against modern civilization. We are not actually against modern civilization. If it were so, then how did Prabhupada, he brought in both ladies and gents, gentlemen, to come and live in the society together and practice Krishna consciousness happily. The thing is how you actually educate them and how you want to transmit the value so that the people who are taking up Krishna conscious practices, they become successful. Anyway, let us hear from Shanti.
Hare Krishna. So yeah, definitely I agree with how Narahari presented in the modern, in the Western society, and adding also, continuing to what you said, I think that nowadays, I think it would be super important that we have these conversations and bring up these kinds of verses, say in a class or something, to remind people and to so they don't misinterpret, because yes, it does get misinterpreted in how you explained it. So that's what I wanted to mention.
Yeah. So very important thing. Actually, what is happening, I can tell you. As Kali Yuga progressing, even the devotees in Krishna consciousness movement sometimes find it difficult to bring out such kind of purports from Prabhupada to discuss it in the public, because they feel, oh, Prabhupada was speaking something long, long ago. It is no more applicable to the modern society. My dear devotee, Prabhupada is writing this purport for the human civilization. That's for sure. Human civilization may be, hundreds and thousands of years old, or they are now, or they may be after thousands of years. But they are human beings. As long as we are in this human form of life, so we have to understand the proper explanation or application of the Krishna conscious philosophy. This is just like a medicine. Uh, you cannot say that the quinine is very bitter, and on those days people did not know how to, mix the quinine with molasses or some sugar coated item. So they were, no, now we have many other way we can, no, quinine has to be taken like as it is. It has to taste bitter, then it will work. So you cannot say that now we are much more advanced. We know how to take quinine in a better way so that you will not feel the bitterness, but at least at the same time will become cure of the madness, the disease. No, it's not possible. The medicine has to be taken as it is. But how you're going to take the medicine, that requires some skills. I mean to say that requires some explanations. And that duty is lying solely on your shoulder. You devotees, you have to be sensitive to your audience. If you, like, Santimata said, that if you're going to discuss this topic to an audience where there are more sensitive people, rather don't discuss this. Don't bring a challenge in a public. You should know that we have to discuss this. Or maybe one-to-one basis, you have developed some friendship with somebody and who is ready to understand it, discuss it. So you have to be more, I would say, practical in the application or discussion of the philosophy. Hmm? Gopi Guna Gita Mataji?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, Dandavat pranams. The same thing, Prabhu, like you already discussed everything. So women is more powerful because they change the consciousness of men very easily with the shyness. And this, with the shyness, women can control. They take the power and they can control the men. And so that has to be used it in a proper way where, like in the Shishtastakam, if you see, Nayanam Galada Shrudharaya, Vadanam Gadgada, Ruddhaya Gira. So very clearly Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saying, oh my Lord, when will my eyes be decorated with the tears of love flowing constantly? So it has to be used, like we should use for the feeling of separation from Krishna, and when we are going to get attached to the Lord. So if we are using it in a proper way, then definitely these tears are really worth. But nowadays, even though we explain it, yes, sometimes we ourselves get down to a level where we start crying when we get separated from our own relatives or close this one. But still, since we have been reading these scriptures for a few days, we have to make ourselves strong enough to understand this bodily features of the what we are material platform where we are in.
Yes, you see, like sometimes many things we do not know. We haven't experienced in our lifetime. It doesn't mean that when I do not know, I haven't experienced, there is no truth to what I am reading. No, we cannot say it like that. That would be a foolish statement. Prabhupada is saying here that a sweeper woman commanded the respect of many respectable gentlemen simply by manifesting a lady's shyness. I have seen this in my personal life, I can tell you. I have seen this. Those, ladies who are sweepers, they used to come and, clean. And I have seen like, elderly people like, our father and others, they go, they are so shy. You can't even see their face. They will take the broom, they will do all the work, but they're very shy. And this is how they commanded respect actually. And you don't know how to command respect, and you without being shy, and you just behave very abruptly, and you expect everybody to respect you. How is it possible? It's a secret. Very, very simple thing. People don't know this. Prema Gorangi Bhatri.
Yes, Hare Krishna Prabhuji. I would like to thank you for bringing up this conversation, because like from my personal experience, I feel that sometimes when we come across these kind of purports, and we can easily misinterpret it. And I also raised this point in the beginning when in the beginning of the Canto 1, where in one purport, Srila Prabhupada was talking about women being less intelligent. So many times we see when we are talking, I mean, myself, like I have given one class in Bhagavad Gita where I had to talk about women being less intelligent. And it's when you're yourself being a woman giving the class, like you know how to discuss about this point to other devotees, and in the crowd there are gentlemen and everybody. So like it's good that we at this level we are talking about it, so that we know when we are talking to the other devotees out there, and especially newcomers, how we should approach that and how we should talk about it, because it easily get interpreted, and sometimes people get offended, because I've seen like in one of our Bhakti Viksha, one person was actually has a really big position in a company, and she got offended when she saw these statements. So we should be very well educated in that way, so that we can talk about that in public. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Last, Joy Manhar Prabhu, he's the last one. Okay. No more.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dhanvat Pradhan. I will just make a brief comment. I mean, already a lot is covered. It's shyness. It's like it's pronounced for the women, but shyness was there for men also. Like for example, men will also, the culture, Indian culture, will not openly and talk to any woman. They will just either they will send the small children, like you go convey this message, or so that's how it was there. Like we have so many instances in the past, like Dushyant Maharaj. He's feeling that attraction for Shakuntala, but he's feeling for only one particular. It's not that they were also shameless, seeing every woman and peeping like that. That kind of thing was not there. So definitely, like these things, if this decorum is maintained, the respect is maintained, everybody is looked upon, like how you dress, how you speak, it also conveys a message. So
But especially,
but I understand, like in Western situation, like it may not be possible all the time. So we have to understand that also. And Prabhupada engage like both boys and girls, like Prabhupada will say boys and girls, and he engaged them. But again, like you said, it has to be, it depends like what is the audience and where you open up, where you speak.
in the Shastra, it is said, basically, the sign is the quality of the ladies. They have been described all the while. In Itisas, it is Narinam Muttam Lajja. Lajja, the shyness, is an ornament of the ladies that actually decorates them. Not that the shyness is a very bad quality. It is, demoralizing them. It is taking away their share of prestige and honor, beauty. No, it actually enhances their prestige, beauty, and honor. That has to be properly explained and applied in the context. So then, after this, now Krishna is leaving. So the Arjuna, Sita, Sitata Patram Jagraha Mukta Dama Vibhushitam Ratna Dandam Gudakesha Priya Priyatamashaha. Gudakesh is Arjuna. with conqueror of sleep and ignorance. What did he do? Shita Patra Jagra. He carried an umbrella. And how was that umbrella? It is explained that it had a jewel handle of jewels and was embroidered with lace and pearls. And Priyatamasya. Arjuna was very dear to Krishna, and Krishna was also very dear to Arjuna. So in that way, now you can imagine how they are preparing for Krishna's departure. And in that way, Uddhava and Satyaki, they began to fan the Lord with decorated fans, and the Lord, as the master of Madhu, seated on the scattered flowers, commanded them along the road. So then, Asruyanta Shisha Satyas Tatra Tatra Dujirita Nanu Rupa Nurupascha Nirgunasya Gunatma. Nirgunasya Gunatma. Asruyanta Shisha. Actually, at that time, all these brahmanas, they started uttering these auspicious mantras. They started offering benediction. It was being heard here and there that the benedictions being paid to Krishna were neither befitting nor unbefitting because they were all for the absolute. You see, Nanu Rupan Rupascha Nirgunasya Gunatma. Krishna is the supreme, and somebody is going to come and now bless him, saying, "Oh, may Krishna be blessed. You be blessed." How does it sound like? Like not today, I can tell you. Today I was just climbing up the stairs. We have a sweeper. His name is Nimai. He's a very nice boy. He's a very nice gentleman. And when I was climbing up, then he said, "Hare Krishna Prabhu." I said, "Hare Krishna Nimai." Then he said, "How are you, Prabhu?" I said, "I'm very good, fine. How are you, Nimai?" He said, "Yes, I am good." Then I said, "Yes, by Krishna, by Guru and Gauranga's mercy, I am doing well." Then he said, "Yes, I pray Chaitanya Mahaprabhu should bless you all and all to you all remain happy and let him remain happy also." This boy is talking. And he's a very nice boy, I can tell you. When I was hearing, I felt like, no, wow, it's a good thing, how he's speaking about the Lord. So, why? Jiva Goswami, he's explaining it so nicely. I wanted to read out that commentary. There are two ways, actually, we can see all these things. Aishwarya Drishtya Nirgunasya Paramanandasya Sukhi Bhava Ityadaya Na Anurupa. If somebody bless saying to Krishna, who is Paramananda Swarupa, that you be happy, this is not actually befitting. From the perspective of Aishwarya, if you worship Krishna with awe and reverence, you can say, "Krishna, you be happy." No, you can't say that, right? Okay, from the Aishwarya Margya Upasana, it may not be befitting, but Madhurya Drishtya Gunatmana Brahmanya Tat Prema Vashyatvat Aprakrita Gunamayasya Tasya Anurupasya. From the Madhurya Drishti, from the viewpoint of the sweetness that Krishna experiences while dealing with his devotees, that is Aprakrita Gunamayasya. Krishna, because he possesses the transcendental qualities, therefore he actually relishes the sweetness through the behavior in the relationship of Dasya, Sakhya, Vatsalya, etc. And Krishna actually saying that Jusmakam Asirhi Reva Mama Sada Sukham Iti. When you all bless me, it brings a lot of happiness and satisfaction to me. That Krishna is saying. Why Krishna is saying like this? Because now he is performing a human pastime. Therefore, these things are befitting to him. According to Sridhar Swami, he says, Gunatmana. Here, Gunatmana, some Mayavadis will explain, oh, he has come in form of human being, he has a body full of material qualities. No, this is the sweetness of the Lord that he experiences, the joy of uh, his relationship in form of Dasya, Sakya, Vatsalya and Madhur with his devotees. Manusya Natyavatare Anrupascha Ityartha. Because he is following the pastime of a human being, he is coming in form of a human being, these are befitting to him. That you bless him. That's why the devotees in Vrindavan, right? The elderly Gopas, they always bless Krishna. When Krishna is kind of drinking forest fire, he is rescuing them from Kaliya, from so many demons attack, and still they will keep on blessing Krishna. And Krishna likes that. This is the Madhura Bhava. We need to understand this. Therefore, that Nan Rupa Rupasta Nirgunasya Gunatmana, the Gunatmana means he is possessing the transcendental qualities where he experiences the sweetness in exchange with the devotees in the mood of Dasya Sakya Vatsalya. This is the explanation. So, I think maybe there's some slide here. Then, text number 20. अन्यन्यमासित संकल्प उत्तम श्लोकोचेतसाम कौरवेन्द्र पुरस्त्रीणाम सर्वश्रुति मनोहरः. Absorbed in the thought of the transcendental qualities of the Lord, who is sung in select poetry. The ladies on the roofs of all the houses of Hastinapura began to talk of him. This talk was more attractive than the hymns of the Vedas. Sarva Shruti Manohara. Sarva Shruti Manohara. Can you read from Prabhupada's lecture? Somebody?
Sarvashruti Manoharaha. Krishna is very pleasing to hear. Krishna is the reservoir of all pleasure. When we get our attention for hearing about Krishna, then at least we can consider that we have become free from material contamination. When we get attachment simply for hearing Krishna, nothing else, all nonsense, then you should understand that you have become liberated. Srimad Bhagavatam 1.10.20 London.
The Kauravendra Purastrina, the ladies of Kaurava, they have been defined here as Uttama Sloka Chetasam. Their heart was completely absorbed in the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And therefore, Sarva Shruti Manohara. Whatever they said, it was even more attractive than the hymns of the Vedas. How does it happen? You see, we have seen in the life of Dhruva Maharaj, right? Dhruva Maharaj was a small boy. And when Lord appeared before Dhruva, Dhruva wanted to glorify the Lord. And Lord could understand that this small boy who has never been to this court, he does not know a single word in Sanskrit. How he is going to offer his prayer to me? Then Lord actually helped him by touching the consul on his forehead. All of a sudden, Dhruva started speaking as if some prayers coming from the Shrutis, Vedas. So here, similarly, these ladies, because they were absorbed in thoughts of Krishna, therefore, the ladies who were all absorbed in the thought and actions of the Lord developed the consciousness of Vedic wisdom by the grace of the Lord. Every day you sing Divya Gyan Hidya Prakashita. See, Prabhupada is saying, they developed the consciousness of Vedic wisdom by the grace of the Lord. When you attach your consciousness, you absorb yourself in thoughts and activities in relation to Krishna, then only Krishna will give you blessing, and automatically the knowledge of the Vedic wisdom will become manifest in you. How it will happen? Don't ask me. Okay, this is how it happens. Just you attach your consciousness to Krishna, you'll be able to speak eloquently, like Sarvasruti Manohara. Okay, then now the ladies of Hastinapura, they started talking between each other. So from in this set of verses, from text number 21 to 30, the ladies of Hastinapura talk about power, excellence, and glories of Krishna. And in particular, these 4 verses, 21 to 24, Krishna is directly the Supreme Personality of Godhead that have been explained by the ladies of Hastinapura. And how in every verse, what actually they are speaking, that have been defined, starting in text number 21. How they are proving that Krishna, this person, is directly the personality of God. Actually, what happened, this scene have been described like this. When Krishna was in Dwaraka, was in Hastinapur, sometimes some ladies, just by watching Krishna's beauty, they are totally, perplexed. Who is this person? How come he's so beautiful? By seeing Krishna's beauty, the way he talks, the way he walks, his movements and all, they were totally perplexed. And some other ladies, now when Krishna is leaving, by seeing their condition, they are telling, hey, don't know, he is none other than the direct personality of Godhead. Don't misunderstand about him. Now we're going to explain to you. That's what they say in text number 21. Savai kilayam purusha puratano jai kasid avishesha atmani agre gunebhya jagadatmanishware nimilitatman nishishukta saktishu. So the ladies, they are talking amongst themselves. This Krishna is directly the Supreme Personality of Godhead. How? They are saying in text number 21, they are actually explaining about Krishna being situated in his own glory before and after, before the creation and after annihilation. So, Savai Kilayam Purusha Purata. While commenting on this verse, Srila Sridhar Swami, he says, Kila iti prasiddhaya pramana dyotakam. So, these Purusha, they are pointing fingers at Krishna, saying, this Krishna is Puratana Purusha. And he actually have been defined in all Vedic literature. This is the Siddhanta, Kila. Kila means this is a fact. Eka Asid Avishesha Atmani. He is the Eka Purusha. And further they describe about him, Agre Gunebhyo Jagatatmanishware. Actually, before the creation started, means before the 3 modes lost their equilibrium condition, at that time she was still present. And when the creation is going to come to an end after annihilation, then everything is going to merge into him, even the living entities. That's what they're saying. Nimiritatma nisisukta saktishu. Nishi. At night time, the energy is wound up. Similarly, just like the example have been given, when you sleep during the night, at that time, the activities of your senses are already merged with your body. At that time, they remain asleep. But when you wake up in the next morning, then all your inclinations, your desires, your impressions, they start to manifest through these sensory activities. So here, when upon the arrival of Brahma's night, the living entities, they merge in the body of the Supreme Lord, Hare Krishna. Is it so? The living entities are merging into the body of the Supreme Lord? That's what it is saying here, right? If you read the translation, and in him only, because the because he is the Supreme Lord, all living beings merge. So all living beings merge in his body. This is what it is saying. Now you explain us. What is the meaning of Jiva merging into the body of the Supreme upon the arrival of Brahma's night? How could you explain this? Yes, Narahitev.
Prabhu, at the end of Brahma's Brahma's day, when the dissolution happens, then all the living entities, they merge into the body of Mahavishnu. And again, when the creation takes place, when the Lord breathes out and the universes are created.
What does it mean? That is what you say, they merge into the body of Mahavishnu. Okay, that means that they lose their individuality. They merge.
No, they don't, Prabhu, because when the creation again happens the next day, again the living entities continue from where they left off.
How can you explain this? The living entities are merging into the body of the Lord.
Meaning they don't lose their identity. Is that the question?
Okay. Let us hear from Madan Mohan Prabhu.
Prabhuji, they actually, like, we do not lose our identity, but it remains in a dormant state in the body of Mahavishnu. That's my understanding.
Yeah, okay. Then what is merging? Vishal Baba Bolo.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Thank you so much for the class, Prabhu. So from my understanding from the 5th canto, so what happens is in the navel of Mahavishnu, all the living entities are already in there. So when he creates the Lord Brahma from the lotus, what happens is they're injected into the lotus and then they come from Brahma. I think that's what the understanding. But when they merge back in, they go back into the stomach of the Lord. So that's basically what happens. Yeah, they don't merge. They basically go back and into the stomach of the Lord.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So here, just read. Then maybe I'll read from the commentary. If you read from the beginning of the purport from your book, can somebody start reading from the beginning?
There are two types of dissolution in the manifested cosmos. Is that correct, Prabhu? Is that from there? Or?
Yes, correct.
Thank you. At the end of every 4,320,000,000,000,000 solar years, when Brahma, the Lord of one particular universe, goes to sleep, there is one annihilation. And at the end of Lord Brahma's life, which takes place at the end of Brahma's 100 years of age, in our calculation at the end of 8,640,000,000,000 times 30 times 12 times 100 solar years, there is a complete annihilation of the entire universe. And in both the periods, both the material energy called the Mahatattva and the material energy called the Jiva Tattva merge into the person of the Supreme Lord. The living being remains asleep within the body of the Lord until there is another creation of material world. and that is the way of the creation, maintenance, and annihilation of the material manifestation. Do you want to carry on, Prabhu?
Okay, okay, just hold it here. This is where the explanation is kind of hidden. In both the periods, both the material energy called the Mahatattva and the material marginal energy called Jiva Tattva merge in the person of the Supreme Lord. So here, Sridhar Swami, he is raising a question. Nanu Jivanam Brahmatvat Katham Laya Tatra. Jiva is also Brahma. How come Brahma is merging in the body of the Param Brahma? No, it's not possible. They always maintain individuality. Because Natti Baham Jatuna Samatpam Neme Janadipana Chaivana Bhavisham Sarve Vayamataparam. Krishna is speaking this philosophy in the Bhagavad Gita that we existed in the past, we are now, we will continue to exist in the future. Never there was a time when you did not exist, nor me, nor all these subjects. So that means individuality of the spirit soul is always there. So then how come, how to understand this, that they are merging into the body of the Supreme Lord? Therefore, he is saying, Suptasu Shaktisu Satisu Jivopadhi Bhuta Satvadi Shakti Laya Eva Jiva Laya Ityartha. See, Sridhar Swami is coming, he is saying that these upadhis, these designations which are created by the energies, which what is that? Here is like the Mahatattva, this, the three gunas, they actually merge in the body of Mahavishnu. Therefore, it has been defined that this is also Jiva, because that is the upadhi of the Jiva. When the upadhi is merging in the body of the Supreme Lord, that have been accepted as the Jiva is merging. But actuality, in actuality, Jiva being Brahma, it does not merge with the Supreme. You understand?
No, Prabhu. Sorry, Prabhu, I didn't understand.
Okay. Let me tell you another thing. When you are driving a car, are you car or you are different from the car?
Different.
You are different from the car. When somebody hits your car, there's an accident. Why did you hit me? People tell it, right? Why did you hit me? Huh? He's identifying so much himself with the car that he's thinking, I am car. He's actually not the car. Car is different. So actually, you as the living being, different from the upadhi. You have got this body as the upadhi, and it is a gift of the material nature. And this constituting the 24 elements and ahankara, all these things. They are all upadhi of the jiva, living entities. And these upadhi, they actually merge in the body. That's what Prabhupada is saying here. You can see Mahatattva. In both the periods, both the material energy called Mahatattva and the marginal energy called Jiva Tattva merge in the person of the Supreme Lord. The living being remains asleep within the body of the Lord until there is another creation of the material world, and there is a way. Anyway, he continues. So the point is here, that's why, to kind of clarify that point, that's why I read it from Sridhar Swami's purport, commentary. Suptasu Shaktisu Satishu Jivopadhi Bhuta Satvadi Shaktilaya Eva Jivalaya Ityartha. So these upadhis, Satvadi Shakti, are merging in the body of the Supreme. Therefore, these are his energies. They goes to the energetic, the possessor of the energy, the Supreme Lord. That is what have been accepted as the Jivalaya. Because Jiva identifies himself with these upadhis so much and so that by losing the Nashta Vitta Yuvatura, there is another verse in Srimad Bhagavatam, it says, Nashta Vitta Ivatura. Just like when somebody who has got big amount of wealth, all of a sudden he loses the wealth, then he feels like he has lost himself. No, he has not lost himself. He's still kind of present individually. He's there. His existence is still there. Because he has identified himself so much with the wealth, by the disappearance of the wealth, he's thinking, I am also lost. That is what it is. So that is the merging of the living being. Yes, Vishalji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, could you have the verse from the Bhagavatam that you just quoted, please, in regards to the wealth of the gentleman?
Yeah, I can tell you. I have to. Okay, before we can. Okay, let me find out that one. I'll tell you right now. You got it? Haribol? Haribol? Haribol Prabhuji?
Hare Krishna Madhana Mohan Prabhu. Check yourself.
3:27:15. Haribol. Is happening with him. 3:27:15. Can somebody just pass it on to him? Vishal Prabhu, you got it? Okay. Suchar Padma
Yes, Prabhu,
Mataji.
got it. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. In this connection, I just wanted to quote this, give this example which Prabhupada quotes about parrot merging into the tree. It is not the parrot and the tree becomes one. The parrot remains the parrot in spite of going. The parrot is green and then it enters a green tree. So the parrot still remains a parrot. So individuality is maintained. I just wanted to understand if that particular analogy or example will be correct.
So the point is here mostly that Jivo Upadhi Bhuta Sattvaadi Shaktilaya eva. The Jiva's Upadhi, which is Shakti, they actually merge, therefore that have been accepted as the Jiva merging into the body of Shakti. Rangamay Ramakrishna Prabhu.
Yeah, Prabhu, thank you for that explanation, Prabhu. I just wanted to confirm if my understanding is correct. So when you speak of upadhis, these are the designations that we falsely assume, which arise out of our false ego, correct? So is it to be understood that it is a subtle body which is responsible for assuming all these designations that goes and merges into the body
This is
of
karma. This is because of our karma we get different kind of bodies, different kind of designations.
Okay.
Because now we are born as a human being. Sometimes we are born in 84. Wait, what is that? 8,400,000 species of life. So different designations you are getting all the time. Karma. Madan Prabhu.
Prabhuji, thank you. Very nice explanation. I also think in chapter 13, when Dhritarashtra, chapter 13, verse number 55, same canto, canto 1, when Dhritarashtra, Narada Muni is explaining to Yudhishthira Maharaj that Dhritarashtra will give up his body. And so I'm just reading that verse, the translation. So Dhritarashtra will have to amalgamate his pure identity with intelligence and then merge into the Supreme Being with knowledge of his qualitative oneness as a living entity, the Supreme Brahman. Being freed from the blob sky, he will have to, of course, he is not fully realized and so on, but still the same concept is there, like what you were explaining, that like our bodily elements are merging into the Mahatattva and so on. So I think same meaning is
There's
coming out.
another also like that. In that connection, there are some other acharyas also explain this verse from Bhagavad Gita. मम साधर्म्यमागता idam jnanam upasritya mama sadharmamagata. So this sadharma means this attaining the qualitative oneness. Vijara, Bimrityu, Vishwaka, some other acharyas they explain like that. Anyway, this is also the last point.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. So I just had a question in regards to what happens, for example, like from my understanding, Prabhu. So when the jiva sort of enters into the universe, when annihilation happens, or even partial annihilation, so they merge back into the Supreme Lord. So because the glance of the Lord activates the jiva, so they basically the body becomes active. So in the absence of the Lord, there's no body. It's the jiva and the Lord, and then the body. That's basically the designation of the body. But then when we merge back in, or when the jivas merge back in, does the Lord separate as well then, or does the Lord also merge back in?
No, you can see this in the description of prayer at the time of annihilation, how the different elements from gross to subtle, they merge with one another, then finally everything goes back to Lord as Ahankar Tattva. So that is what is happening here. That's why I gave the verse from the third canto, Nashvitta Ivaturaha. He feels like, no, I have lost myself. No, he's still there. Okay. Thank you very much. So now the next is, okay, maybe for your reference, somebody else can read the purport of this text number 21, which is the second last paragraph, starts with the merging of the living beings into the body of Mahavishnu.
The merging of the living entities into the body of Mahavishnu takes place automatically at the end of Brahma's 100 years. But that does not mean that the individual living being loses his identity. The identity is there, and as soon as there is another creation by the supreme will of the Lord, all the sleeping, inactive living beings are again let loose to begin their activities in the continuation of past different spheres of life. It is called Suptotita Nyaya, or awakening from sleep and again engaging in one's respective continuous duty. When a man is asleep at night, he forgets himself, what he is, what his duty is, and everything of his waking state. But as soon as he awakens from the slumber, he remembers all that he has to do and thus engages himself again in his prescribed activities. The living beings also remain merged in the body of Mahavishnu during the period of annihilation. But as soon as there is another creation, they arise to take up their unfinished work. This is also confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 8, text 18 to 20.
You got it? This is another way to explain how they actually merge into the body of the Supreme Lord. Rohini was also speaking about this, that this is the example of sleep. When you sleep, you forget about everything. Supta Tritanyaya. Next morning, you wake up, you remember everything and you start working on again. Okay. Soyeva bhuya nijabirya choditam sajiva mayam prakritim sishiktim anama rupatmani rupanamani vidit samano nusasara sastrit. The personality of Godhead, again desiring to give names and forms to his parts and parcels, the living entities, placed them under the guidance of material nature. By his own potency, material nature is empowered to recreate. So it has been defined in Upanishads that here the ladies of what they are saying, so eva bhuya nija virya chodita. Nijabhija Choditam means so Kala Preditam, being impelled by his Kala Shakti, there is the disturbance created in Prakriti. And this Maya is actually eroding the different types of quarters to the living entities. That's how Shishikshatim, that's how he creates. And Anama Rupatmani, Rupanamani, Viditsa Manan Shashara Shastrakrit. Actually, after creating, now he has to avoid the karma for the different living entities that they had not finished in their past life. So to help them continue with their karma, then he creates Shastra creates. Not that Lord is creating these living entities like an irresponsible father. He does not know, he gives birth to the babies and he does not know how to take care of their fooding, lodging, their education. No, he is a perfect father. He knows you have some unfinished task from the previous life and to continue and bring it to the completion, you need some guide. So he is giving Shastra also. And the Supreme Personality of Godhead, again, desiring to give names and forms to his parts and parcels, the living entities, place them under the guidance of material nature by his own potency. And material nature is empowered to recreate. So purport is also nice. Let us read from the last paragraph, which is starting. Actually, the spiritual spark. Who can read? Now I should read. I should ask somebody. Who is this Subal? Rajesh.
Hare Krishna. Dr.Prashant.
Can you
Actually, yeah. Actually, the spiritual spark, living entities, have no material names or forms. But in order to fulfill their desire to lord it over the material energy of material forms and names, they are given a chance for such false enjoyment, and at the same time, they are given a chance to understand the real position through the revealed scriptures. The foolish.
So the point is, in the pure state, the living entities are Brahman. They are separate from the material designations in form of forms, because they have to fructify their desires. Therefore, these designations, the name forms, have been avoided by the Prakriti under the direction of the Supreme Lord. This is a chance given to the living entities, and they fructify their desires by following the scriptures. Those who are foolish people, they actually forgetful living beings, is always busy with false forms and false names. Modern nationalism is the culmination of such false name and false forms. On the other hand, even if you have a false name and false form, if you follow Shastra and perform your activities dedicated to the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord, then you are becoming freed from the entanglement of Maya. Savayam jat padamatra surayo jitendriyanir jitamatarishvana pasyanti bhaktyutkalitamalaatmana nanvesha shaktam parimastumarhati. Here is the same Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose transcendental form is experienced by the great devotees who are completely cleansed of material consciousness by dint of rigid devotional service and full control of life and the senses. And that is the only way to purify existence. So here the ladies, they are praying that there is no other means to purify oneself of the material contaminations completely without taking shelter of Bhakti Yoga process. Not that by executing the path of jnana, karma, or yoga, one can become purified completely. No, it's not possible. That's why I'm saying, Pasyanti Bhakti Utkalitat Malatmana. Bhakti Utkalita. So there are yogis who practice the process of pranayama and others, where they try to control the senses, and then by controlling the prana, they enter into the platform of rendering devotional service unto the Supreme Lord. Nanvesa Sattvam Parimastumara. The way one becomes completely purified of the material contaminations by performing devotional service, no other process can help one to come attain that kind of state of purification. Devotional service necessitates purifying the senses or engaging them in the activities of devotional service. Did you get it? In the middle of the paragraph. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 line from the bottom of the paragraph. In the middle, devotional service necessitates. Who has got it?
Got it, Prabhuji.
Devotional service.
Mataji, let Mataji read. Who is that?
Myself, Prabhuji. Yeah. Devotional service necessitates purifying the senses or engaging them in the activities of devotional service. Devotional service is not inaction. Anything done in the service of the Lord becomes at once purified of its material nature. The material conception is due to ignorance only. There is nothing beyond Vasudeva. The Vasudeva conception gradually develops in the heart of the learned after a prolonged acceleration of the receptive organs. But the process ends in the knowledge of accepting Vasudeva as all in all. In the case of devotional service, this very same method is accepted from the very beginning, and by the grace of the Lord, all factual knowledge becomes revealed in the heart of a devotee due to dictation by the Lord from within. Therefore, controlling the senses by devotional service is the only and easiest means.
Therefore, controlling the senses by devotional service is the only and easiest means. That means there is no other means can become so successful. Then they explain that Soba Ayam Sakya Nugita Satkatho Vedeshu Guhyeshu Cha Guhya Vadivi. So the glories of the Supreme Lord are explained in the confidential literature by the confidential devotees of the Supreme Lord. So Eka Isa, he is the only Isa, only one Lord. Jagadatma Leelaya, Sujatyavatyati Natatra Sajjate. He creates, maintains, and annihilates, but he is not attached to anything. Even though he is the authority, he is the master of the creation, he actually, the entire creation is upheld in his energy, but still he is not affected by the contaminations of this material world. Just like we can take an example, there is sky in a pot. When you put water in the pot, the sky never gets tainted, even though it is there. The water is on the sky, right? But sky never gets wet. Similarly, the Supreme Lord, even though he is the Adhara Shakti, upon whom the entire creation is sustained, but still he is aloof from everything. He does not become attached to it. Oh dear friends, here is that very personality of Godhead whose attractive and confidential pastimes are described in the confidential parts of Vedic literature by his great devotees. It is he only who creates, maintains, and annihilates the material world and yet remains unaffected. Then, in text number 25, it's a very nice thing is being described here. Let us see from the slide. In text number 25, okay, it is said, they explain the reason behind Lord manifesting various incarnations. Why does Lord incarnates in different forms? So, it had been said, Jada yadharmena tamodhiya nripa jivanti tatrai sahi sattvatakya dhatte bhagam satyamritam dayam jaso bhavaya rupani dadha juge juge. In every yuga, he assumes different forms. And what is the necessity? First of all, when the the kings, they continue to survive by adapting the process of sinful activities. When they are engaged in sinful activities, adharmena, then what happens? Jivanti. By adopting adharma, and they attain their livelihood, at that time, Lord comes to this world. What does he do? Dhatte bhagam. Bhaga means Aisharyam. He manifests his supreme power. Then Satyam, Ritam, Dayam, Yasho. If you want to understand one after another what all these things, how Krishna is doing all these things, it have been explained by the acharyas that when he appears and he manifests this Bhagam. Bhagam means Aishwarya. He manifests his supreme power, like we have seen when Lord appears as Ramachandra, he punished Ravana. As Hiranyaksha, he punished Hiranyakashipu. As Krishna, he punished Kamsa. This is his Aisharyam, the supreme power, as Bhagam have been described. Then Satyam, Satya Prati Satya Pratignatvam. Satya Pratignatvam means he prosecutes truth, like Lord Ramchandra. He was a perfect ruler, and by the power of his truthfulness, he was able to build even the bridge on the Indian Ocean to go to Lanka to rescue Mother Sita. Rhythm. Rhythm means he gives appropriate instructions. Krishna, he managed the Yadu dynasty. Rama, he managed the Surya dynasty by appropriate instructions. Then Dayam. Dayam means shows special mercy to the devotees. Actually, here we have seen when Bhamasura, he had kidnapped these queens, the daughters, and nobody wanted them. But Krishna actually, he rescued them and he married them. And then Yasho performs wonderful activities. What are the wonderful activities? Like Krishna is killing Kaliya, he lifting Govardhan hill, killing Putana, Aghasura, all these things. And so in that way, Krishna, he incarnates in different forms just to manifest these items. Bhagam, Satyam, Ritam, Dayam, Yasho. So these are the 5 items explained by the residents of Hastinapura about the reason behind Supreme Lord assuming different incarnations.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, I have a question. I'm sorry. On the verse 23 purport, like where we are reading, I could not get this exactly. Like the Vasudeva conception gradually develops in the heart of a learned after a prolonged acceleration of receptive organs. So if I understand, receptive organ means through hearing, And prolonged
Hmm.
acceleration, like repeatedly and intense hearing, that's what Prabhupada is saying. Or I'm interpreting it wrong.
So, what is the confusion?
Confusion is this prolonged acceleration. What exactly? Acceleration means what here?
Yeah, prolonged acceleration means every day you better the quality of hearing. That is the meaning. Like, for example, on the beginning day of your Krishna consciousness, you are not so attentive in hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. Now you have become more attentive and you have also developed some sort of taste for it. So in this way, it's a prolonged uh, acceleration, right? That means you have to accelerate your speed. How it is happening? Today, you perform some devotional service, it will speed up the devotional service tomorrow. The bhakti is the cause of bhakti. This is the meaning. Today's bhakti is the cause of the superlative degree of bhakti tomorrow that you're going to practice. That is what it means.
Thanks, Prabhuji. One more question actually coming to my head. I mean, this is confusion since long, but since this came in this verse about the Lord Bhaga, about Lord Ram building the bridge. Now, Ramayana mentioned that this bridge was quite long, like 16, if I remember well, 1600 kilometer long and around 100 kilometer wide. But the distance, how we explain it to, I mean, to others, how we explain to others when they say that NASA picture, whatever they have, they reveal the actual distance. It may be less than 40 kilometers, whereas this actual bridge was 1600 kilometers long.
Why are you worried about the scientists what they speak? Your scientists, they first of all, they have got this plant material senses, which is the vision or the experience is very, very limited, right? And whatever they say, even the machine what they produce with these limited senses are also limited. And how can you say that whatever information been provided by the scientists are truth? No. We accept Shruti Pramana. In Upanishad, Shishya Upanishad, you have heard, no? There are different types of Pramanas. One Pramana is Sabda Pramana, Shruti Pramana. That is the highest Pramana for us, and we accept that. So other people who do not believe on Shruti, they believe on the material instrument, which are limited. Let them do that. Why are you worried about that?
Well, the difference is quite a lot, like 1600 versus less than 40 kilometers. It's like
I just simply follow Srimad Bhagavatam. Whatever scripture says, I believe on that. I have got no argument because I am not a scientist. I have never tried to become a scientist, and I have never also tried to understand what the scientists are doing. Because we know we have the greatest treasure, Srimad Bhagavatam, that is the highest truth, Pramana. All our scientists have believed on this, we have to believe on this. Very simple.
okay, bro, thanks.
Okay, let me tell you now. Let me ask you a different question. My dear sir, even if one day you find out that the scientists are right, and then you give up following Srimad Bhagavatam and just run behind the scientists, is it going to bring you ultimate destination? Is it going to bring you to ultimate destination by following the scientists, the material scientists? No. Bhagavatam is going to help us. Ramana is going to help us. Therefore, we have to remain attached to Bhagavatam and Ramana. Then, in text number 26, the next part have been described by the ladies of Hastinapur that from text number 26 to 30, they glorify the personality of God as Sri Krishna in these 5 verses. Krishna have been glorified here. How Krishna is being glorified? Alam slagyatamam jadokulam Aho alam punyatamam madhurvanam Jadesha pumsa Jadesha pumsam rishabho siyapati Swajanmana chamkramanena chanchati Aho alam slagyatamam jadurvanam. Because Krishna appeared in the Jadu dynasty, that's why Jadukula is supremely glorified. And Aho Alam Punyatamam Madhurvanam, because Krishna was performing his pastime in Madhuban, district of Mathura. That's why it is also highly glorious. And Jadesha Pumsam Rishabhasya Pati. He is Rishabha. He is the Srastha, the highest personality. And Siyapati, he is the husband of the goddess of fortune. And when he appeared as a human being and he was moving around the forest of Vrindavan, that's how, by performing his childhood pastime, he awarded the glories to the land of Mathura. And when Krishna appears, we should not understand that there is no existence of Krishna before his appearance. Therefore, Prabhupada gives the analogy of sun. A sun arises on the eastern horizon, but that does not mean that the eastern horizon is the parent of the sun. The sun is existent in every part of the solar system, but he becomes visible at a scheduled time and so also becomes invisible at another scheduled time. Similarly, the Lord appears in this universe like the sun and again leaves our sight at another time. So in that way, we should not be confused about the eternity of the Supreme Lord Krishna. He is always present. And then he continues on text number 27. Undoubtedly, it is wonderful that Dwaraka has defeated the glories of the heavenly planets and has enhanced the celebrity of the earth. The inhabitants of Dwaraka are always seeing the soul of all living beings, Krishna, in his loving feature. He glances at them and favors them with sweet smiles. So here, Aho Vata Swar Jasasas Tiraskari. Swar Jasa means the glories of the heavenly planet have been defeated. The glories of the heaven is defeated by the glories of Kusasthali, that is Dwaraka, which is a part of the material world. It looks like Punya Dasaskari Bhuva. Pashyanti Nityam Jadanugraheshitam. Smitavalokam Swapatim Sma Jat Praja. Actually, Krishna, when he was living in Dwaraka, he was always desiring good for the citizens. Therefore, whenever he looked upon them with a smiling face, it brought all good fortune to them. So in that way, Dwaraka is highly glorious. In another way, our acharyas, they explain, actually, I think, let me read the commentary, then it will make more sense to you. The mood of the Dwarakavasis are different from the mood of the one who resides in the heavenly planet that have been defined here as Swasya Atmanaha Patim Sri Krishnam. Actually, those who live in Dwaraka, they accept Krishna not as their father or husband or somebody in bodily relations. Like we are very much attached to our father, or somebody is attached to her husband. Why? Because I have received this body from my father, and my father can give protection to this material body. Father cannot give protection to the spiritual. He is not the pati, he is not the maintainer of my soul actually. But Krishna is the maintainer of the soul. That's why it has been said by Siddhartha Swami, Swasya Atmana Patim Sri Krishnam, Natu Pitradi Bad Dehamatra Pati Nityam Pashyanti Sma. All these Dwarakavasis, they accepted Krishna as the protector of their Jiva Swarupa. Not that he is the protector of the material body in form of Krishna being their father, or he is being Krishna's son or husband, whatever you may say. No, nobody looked at Krishna in that way, in that connection. Similarly, in this section of Bhagavatam, we need to understand how the ladies in Hastinapura, they accepted Krishna's Swarupa, that he is the pati of the Atma, not the mention of the body. Even though Krishna, he is also giving the facilities for us to maintain our material body, but we should not accept him in that ground. Rather, he is the protector of the soul. The Lord is the soul of all living beings, Prabhupada writes in purport. And he desires always to have all the living beings in their swarupa, in their constitutional position, to participate in transcendental life in his association. His activities, his attractive features and sweet smiles go deep into the heart of everyone. And once it is so done, the living being is admitted into the kingdom of God, from which no one returns. This is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita. So this is how Dwaraka have been highly glorious. Now, further, it has been described about the Krishna's form. Oh friends, just think of his wives, whose hands he has accepted. How they must have undergone wars, baths, fire sacrifices, and perfect worship of the Lord of the universe to constantly release now the nectar from his lips. The damsels of Brajabhumi would often faint just by expecting such favors. The lady in Hastinapur actually is saying that these ladies who have become the wives of Krishna, they must have performed many past activities in their past life. Therefore, they have become the receiver of the nectar from the lips of the Supreme Lord Krishna, which was always sought for by the themselves of Brajabhumi. So the glories, the good fortune of the wives of Krishna and Dwaraka have been glorified in this connection. Then he's saying, the children of these ladies are Pradyumna, Shambha, Amba, etc. Ladies like Rukmini, Satyabhama, and Jambavati were forcibly taken away by him from their Swayamvara ceremonies. After he defeated many powerful kings, headed by Shishupal, and other ladies were also forcibly taken away by him after he killed Bhaumasur, and thousands of his assistants. All of these ladies were glorious. So here it has been said particularly about Krishna. Krishna is glorified in this connection. How Krishna actually got this Satyabhama, Nagnijiti, Jambavati from the Swayambara Sabha, Swayambara ceremony. And he defeated all these big kings. So that was his prowess. that by showing his prowess, he was able to conquer these queens, and he gave birth in the womb these Pradyumna, Samba, Amba. And after that, it's explained that how Krishna, who actually brought these ladies from Bhaumasur, who were already unwanted in the society. But by accepting them as his wives, he actually purified them. That and purification. And he was taking care of all these 16,108 Mahishis in such a way that whatever they wanted, he always brought for them. Sometimes he will make some valuable gifts, like we have seen, he went to heaven and stole Parijata. Actually, he did not steal. He brought because he liked. He wanted to uh, mm, give this as a present to uh, who? Satyabhama, right? Hmm. So in that way, uh, yeah, he brought Parijata plant for Satyabhama. So these are his activities. Then finally, evam vidha gadantinam sagiraha purayoshitam nirikshane navinandan sasmitena jayohari. In this way, when the ladies in Hastinapura, they were glorifying Krishna by describing his wonderful qualities. At the end, Krishna just looked at them and smiled. Then he left for Dwarka. As Krishna started, then what happened? On the way, he was passing by different places. Places it have been explained here: Kurujangala, Panchal, Sushen, all these lands. He actually tract of land. He passed by. Then finally, Lord appeared. He actually arrived in Dwarka, and it has been described that as Krishna was moving on the way, upon the uh, sunset, they will stay in one place, and the people from that locality will come to Krishna to pay their tributes, and Krishna will also bless them. So in that way, finally, he reached at Dwarka. And then the next chapter we will discuss about Lord's entrance into Dwarka city. Okay, thank you very much. So in today's class, we have actually from last class also, in understanding part, we explained the link between chapter 9 and 10, presented an overview of chapter 10, discussed feelings of the ladies of Hastinapur, there's about power, excellence, and glories of Krishna. Then, in preaching application, summarize the condition of the world during reign of Maharaj Yudhishthir. In the last class, we discussed about this. Then, also in personal application, we identified it in the last class. Attitude and practices in ISKCON either consistent with or contrary to the principles adopted by Maharaj Yudhishthir. Concluding quote for today.
Can I read?
Rohini, can you read this?
Without being educated properly, the mass of people are following in the footsteps of the vested interests by exploiting natural resources, and therefore there is acute competition between individual and individual and nation. There is no control by the trained agent of the Lord.
Thank you very much. We must look into
the defects of the modern civilization by comparison here and should follow in the footsteps of Maharaja Yudhishthira to cleanse man and wipe out anachronisms.
next class. You can read the entire chapter 11. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you,
Thank you, Prabhu. Patikrama Sindhu
वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः अनंत कोटि वैष्णव की जय श्री
Jai.
प्रभुपाद की
Thank you.
जय
Jai.
श्री कृष्ण